evangelism, evangelizing to others who are not yet believers or want to be believers.
In other words, if I hear you well, in other words, you're saying that when Christ really charged the church to be the light of the world, in other words, he said that a city cannot be hidden. You know, if you're a Christian, then you better choose the way of righteousness.
Yes.
In other words, you're saying that you cannot be a Christian who is a hypocrite, you know, but that by day you're a Christian and by night you're a drunkard.
Yes.
That really is quite amazing. And I think for the youth and those who are watching, what Cynthia just said is quite amazing. She's saying simply that once you choose this walk of salvation, there is no way you should again conform to the patterns of this world. We know too well that living out your faith in this secular world can at times be challenging because the world celebrates sins. But as a Christian, even in the university, you can stand out and be the light of the world. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Allow me now head over to Nashon. I've heard quite your story. You're an author. You're also in the construction industry. But we know too well, we've heard in the past, you know, construction industry is mad with corruption, is mad, you know, with back dealings. For you as a Christian in the construction industry, how does living out your faith resonate well with you?
Well, it's not easy. First of all, it's society today that is so permissive, and being in a city like Nairobi, and you're in the construction sector, it is a tall exercise you have to continue doing on every day. What I would say is, I think the one for faith is you need to define your boundaries, and then continually color within those lines as a Christian. So what are those red lines that you define for yourself as a Christian, and then do not shade outside those lines. It is important in the construction sector, because they always say if you give someone an inch, they want a mile.
Yeah, true.
So the first compromise you'll make sure next time they're going to ask for a mile. And you're right. This sector is riddled with corruption and a lot of it. But living out that faith is knowing what boundary of Christianity that is fine in the Bible is. Initially, it's not easy to start putting those red lines, because nearly every person has those red lines that are so blurred, they're not very clear. So when you begin to define it, it becomes a problem. But over time, people begin to respect that this is what you stand for, is what you believe in as a Christian, and then begin to live and practice that.